I don't think we should be doing that at this time. Many of you know that's for the Bringing Back Broadway parking garage. And for many of you who are not familiar with that, it's an initiative we started 2 years ago where we are revitalizing Broadway, the historic core, and we've had a lot of progress in that respect. And one of the greatest needs identified for that initiative is to build more parking. And looking out here in the audience, Gil Goldberg, our planning director, would tell you one of the biggest needs to revitalize historic cores is parking. We didn't build our corridors at that time with sufficient parking. We have 10 historic theaters in the area that we are attempting to revitalize. We have over 1 million square feet of available space in the upper floors of those buildings that we want to put back to use to office space, work-live spaces that could be put back on the tax rolls for the city. It's an initiative that has gained a lot of momentum, a lot of attention, and the centerpiece of this is to build a streetcar as well. And now in 2008, when there was a great need for our budget, and there was a proposal that we take the SPRF monies from local districts, and initially we balked. We said, no, we shouldn't do this. It's money that was for local districts, council districts. We looked at the rolls, and mine had $10 million that we were accumulating for this parking garage. Other districts had $200,000, $300,000. District 1 had $1 million. I didn't support it at the time, but there was an agreement made amongst the mayor, myself, and the committee at the time that if I give up those $10 million that we were accumulating for this parking garage, that we will then infill that with MICLA funding. Roll up 2 years later, we're ready to purchase the properties. We have offers out there to property owners. We have designs that were created. We have council motions that were passed to give the authority to the General Services Department to make those designs and plan for this parking structure. And now we've frozen MICLA funding. There is no more MICLA funding available. We made a policy decision that given our financial situation, we will no longer give out any MICLA funding. And so here we are ready to move with this project, and in the mayor's budget, there is an allocation of $10 million from the SPRF funding to go back and repay that commitment. Just like the city would have any other obligation when it makes those commitments, whether it's to a council member, to a council district, to a contractor. Commitments are made. And we have here the $10 million that were allocated, so I would hope that we fulfill that commitment of these $10 million. I recognize that we are in a very tight budget situation. I recognize that we have a lot of other things we would rather do than build a parking structure at this time. But if you think about it for the long term, it is going to create jobs, it's going to revitalize a corridor, bring more tax revenue to this city, and at the same time, these are one-time monies. We are trying to fix a budget deficit that has a bigger issue with the long-term consistent deficit that we have. These are one-time monies that I think could go a long way in fulfilling. If we wait, the property values are going to increase again. The construction costs are going to increase again. I would ask that we move forward at this time and fulfill a commitment that were made to the residents of Council District 14, to the Broadway volunteers who meet day in and day out to make this possible, and keep that where it is.
I think one of the things that, and just give my rationale, I think $10 million in the budget could mean not laying off 150 civilians and possibly hiring 100 police officers. And I think as opposed to building a parking lot or buying something that we have to then construct. And so I think it's one of those issues that if it's $10 million of real money, and it reduces the deficit from 80 to 70, that means that there may be 150 less pink slips that Maggie has to give. And so I would move that we move the money out of put it into the special parking revenue fund and return it, and then ask the CAO to look at how it should be allocated and make a recommendation.
Saving people's jobs is not one-time monies. We have to find monies that are with us in the long term. So this money, we could put it in our reserve. I recognize that it's money that could probably go to reserve, but we're comparing apples to oranges when we talk about the layoffs that are proposed and using this money to save layoffs. It's apples to oranges.
Let me just comment on that. I think we have $153 million in one-time money in this budget, and a lot of it is saving jobs. Maybe just for this year, but they are saving jobs. And so we're in an upside-down situation, and it's important that if we can find 10 million and not give 150 pink slips for this year, and hope that the economy turns around. In my judgment, that is the best use of the money. And so, again, I think it's important that we continue to look at dropping that 80 million to as low as we can. Let me just comment. I think one of the things, and I hate to be the Grim Reaper, but there is no other option. We have no other
Like you said, it's been around since the Tom Bradley time. Tom Bradley made a commitment to some of the theater owners that if they bought these theaters, instead of demolishing them, there were proposals on the table to demolish some of these theaters, that the city would do something to support the revitalization. And so this has been around for a very long time. These theater owners have given us a letter of intent that should we move forward with these parking availabilities, they're going to invest in their building, in their theaters, in the theaters they owned. That they did the city a favor, they did Tom Bradley a favor to preserve and honor these theaters. I think we can still do that. We could still, it's early on in the budget process, and come out and fulfill a commitment if we continue to move forward in this budget process.
Okay. The thing is, Mr. Huizar, I don't think there's a sentiment to do that, so I'm going to ask that we...
I would ask for a vote then, if we could have a vote.
We could have a vote?
I'd like to move that we, well, you moved to remove it.
I move that the on page 220, Schedule 11, that the 10 million of the 11 million that's in the line item for capital improvement expenditures be returned to the Special Parking Revenue Fund, and that we ask the CLA to get together and to program that in the 10-11 budget.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and ask for a roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Huizar?
No.
Okay, Mr. Smith?
Yes.
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 Mr. Chris?
No.
Okay, 3-2. We'll ask that that be a part of the record, that we move those funds, and that we hopefully have reduced some of that $80 million we started today with.